Hi everyone, Shauna Gut here. Welcome back to Your Greatest Vegas. My name is Shauna Gut and I serve the amazing people of Las Vegas. Today we're talking about doing everything you can to prevent your home from sitting on the market. Um, some of our viewers might know that I am the owner of a local real estate company, Elite Home Finders. And I decided to open my own brokerage because I was so sick of homeowners not getting the best possible service and information from their agent. And I couldn't even blame the agents because they're only doing what they were taught by their broker, or worse, they're doing what they learned on their own without any guidance. So I thought, let's teach them how to really do things right in order to best serve our community. After all, my main goal is to create value to people like you, our amazing people who live in our community, and value to my agents who I truly want to help. So that being said, sometimes sellers come to me after they've hired a real estate agent to list their home, but the listing expires because it's sat on the market for too long. And then in this case, I'll take a look at the listing and I can usually spot where it went wrong in about 60 seconds. So in this episode, I'm going to show you the top 5 reasons that a home will sit on the market and how to fix it so it doesn't happen to you. So the first one that I come across all the time is bad photos. So my recommendation is when you start interviewing agents, one of the questions that you're really going to want to ask them is, who's your photographer? So it's really important that they, one, know the name of their photographer, worked with that photographer in the past, have a good rapport and relationship with that photographer. But it would be a huge red flag if they said, you know what, I'm more of a do-it-yourselfer. I'm going to go and I have this great new iPhone or I have this great new Android phone and I'm going to take amazing photos and I'm going to Photoshop them and I'm going to do this. If you hear that, don't walk out of that listing appointment, run out of that listing appointment. Because good photos are the first thing, it's the first impression for your home. And because of apps like Zillow and Redfin and Trulia, um, buyers have been trained to swipe, swipe, swipe through photos very, very quickly. And if they don't like what they've seen on the photos, they're not going to visit your home. And they're not going to even give it a second thought. They're just going to say, nope, delete, on to the next one. Even if your home is amazing and the photos just don't do it justice, they don't care. They're going to keep scrolling. So instead, like I said, make sure your agent hires a professional photographer because real estate photographers especially know how to capture a home's true essence. They give certain shots so buyers can really see how the home is configured, which is what they need to do before going to visit the home. And in this environment, they're only visiting the homes that are truly sparking their interest because the pandemic that's going on right now, they're very leery to go into someone else's home if they aren't absolutely in love. So good photos are a must. And trust me, the good agents know exactly who their photographer is. I have my guy and I love him to death and I won't use anybody but him. So the second reason that I see is, I don't want to call it bad decor, but it's decor that doesn't fit the buyer's likes. So what I found, unless you're a professional interior designer with a trained eye to really see design, and that really is a gift, it's difficult for the average buyer to see past your decor. Even if you've chosen pieces carefully or you've chosen pieces and paid at a premium price, they're not cheap pieces. If it doesn't suit the buyer's taste, some buyers have such a hard time just looking past that. Because the problem arises that in order for a buyer to want your home, they have to be able to see themselves in it. So if they can't get past that tile or they can't get past that paint color or they can't get past that rug, the likelihood of them wanting to move forward and pursue your particular home is less likely. So what we want to do is go in and eliminate this scenario as much as possible. Obviously, you're still living in the home. You can't completely redesign your home when you're going to sell it. So I like to go in and I like to remove all unnecessary clutter. And if possible, I'd like to paint with a neutral color palette. So if you have maybe some bright colors that you absolutely love, not saying that they're bad or they're ugly, we just want to neutralize it. So we give ourselves the highest opportunity for the most people to be able to see themselves in your home. And that's our goal. So in some cases, updating the furniture pieces is necessary, and your realtor should know some good staging companies if that was something that's required. But a lot of times, if we just clean up the clutter and we neutralize the space, that's going to do wonders and make it easier for that buyer to see themselves in your home. Third reason, this happens more often than not, it's pricing. The home is not priced correctly, and it's the most common culprit that I see. You know, you run comps, and all of a sudden, the real estate agent guided you to price the home higher, or you wanted to price the home higher to leave negotiation room. So contrary to popular belief, the price of the home is not what you think it's worth, but what the buyer is willing to pay. So regardless of what other homes in the neighborhood are selling for, if we price your home at that price and nobody's willing to pay that price, and it's not worth that price, is kind of what that statement means. But the market overall determines the price. So if we're in a seller's market, you might be in a better position where you might have multiple offers on your home. But if we're in more of a buyer's market, that situation might be reversed, and pricing is even more important. So you might think your home is worth, X amount because you improved it, made memories in it, took such good care of it. But the reality is that none of that really matters to the buyer. They're going to be looking at the home objectively and through a piece of paper. Literally, comps are on a piece of paper, and they compare, room site, number of rooms, number of bathrooms, number of square footage, comparable homes in the market. So your upgrades matter to a certain extent, but it is not dollar for dollar that you get for those upgrades that you put in the home. So I always like to look at each home individually and say, okay, this upgrade costs you X amount of dollars. Realistically, from an appraiser's perspective and from a buyer's perspective, we're probably going to be able to add Y to the price of the home. So I do always like to have a very candid conversation with all of my sellers, because if we don't price it right, that's probably a surefire reason as to why your home isn't going to sell. And if we price it too high, and then you think, oh, we're just going to lower the pricing down. If it doesn't sell, we're going to test the market at this price. The minute you reduce that price, all of a sudden the home has lost even more value than that. So you end up selling your home for less than what the market value is because you started at a higher price. It's kind of counterintuitive, but seen it happen time and time again. But moving right along, number 4 is bad vibes. I know that sounds weird, but there's some things, sometimes there's things that you can't even see that are holding back your home sale. Maybe it's a funky pet smell, or it's a dark interior where people can't see very well, or an unusually hot or cold temperature, something that makes buyers uncomfortable, or a weird creepy sound that happens when the AC comes on. Who knows what some of these things are, but that's the reason your agent should be collecting feedback from every buyer who comes through. So eventually those things are going to come out, and you can make amends and you can address those issues to neutralize an odor, or maybe brighten the room a little bit, or add a lamp, whatever we need to do to eliminate that. And then the last reason is bad communication. Sometimes the home is perfect. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, there's great photos, it's priced right, it's a beautiful house, but it's not selling because of lack of communication from the agent. I can't tell you how many times where I've reached out saying, hey, agent, I'd like to show your listing at XYZ Main Street. We'd like to come in at 5:30 on Tuesday. Crickets. No word back. And when you think about that, if people can't get a hold of your agent to schedule showings or to ask questions, they're just going to move on. They're not going to wait around for your agent to call them back. So if you try to get a hold of your agent and it's always going to voicemail or they don't call you back in a timely manner, um, by the way, I don't think going to voicemail is a bad thing, just because I always like to, I don't take calls when I'm in a meeting, so I like to give my 100% attention. Just like if the phone were to ring right now, I would not answer it. But if they don't call you back in a timely manner, that's the most important aspect of it. How do you expect that this agent is going to schedule showings on your behalf? And really, when you have a good agent who's really selling before the appointment even happens, that's really kind of the key to having a successful home sale. So what happens if you don't have a good agent? Um, the key to selling a home fast, like we said, is to make a good first impression, and this is where a skillful agent can really benefit you. This is where I step in before I list a property. I love to visit the space and the space that we're potentially going to list and make recommendations on things that need to happen to make the home its most marketable. Because really, I like to walk the home, noting areas to quote unquote depersonalize or neutralize to make sure that the buyer can see themselves in that space. And I do like to say it's not that I don't love the picture of the collage of your family. It's gorgeous and adorable. I love it. But if buyers look at that and they see you in that house, they're probably not going to see them in that house. Even though you are adorable and we love you, they want to see themselves in that house. At this point, you might be thinking you might need some guidance. You might want someone to put ideas off of or spitball some ideas, some guidance that to help get your home sold quickly versus having it sit, because nobody likes their home to sit on the market. But you might also be thinking that you don't really know where to start. So if you're thinking about a move, I can help you through the process. Just send me a message. Text me. It's my all-day number on 702-957-1556. No pressure, no sales. That's not my style. It's really just to help you make recommendations and give you the help and advice you need. So feel free, after this, I think I'm going live here. Feel free to post any questions or comments in the chat box. I'll be able to answer those questions. And if you have a more specific question that maybe you don't want to share with the entire group, feel free to direct message me and I will get back with you, absolutely. So that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone. How do I